And we're live. Sign. It's pre-recorded, but good morning.
Good morning, all.
This is, of course, our new morning show, right? The Goddess Energy Morning Show. I am one of your hosts, Divine Moon Goddess. This is my co-host, or Empress in the building.
I'm here. See what happens when you pre-record? I'm here.
I think there's kind of an echo on my end. I can hear an echo. Did you touch something?
No, I'm gonna check to make sure. Nope, I didn't touch nothing.
Could just be me. I could have moved.
You sound the
We,
same to me.
yeah, okay. We're just gonna roll with it. We're just gonna roll with it. So, this morning show is brought to you by Divine Moon Goddess Healers and Readings.com, where your questions are answered.
That
I
sounds
swear
good.
that's my
You need like a jingle, like before and after.
it's my new jingle, y'all. If you didn't know, it's my new slogan. All right, where because you come to us, myself and Oracle Empress are both on the website of so you could come definitely get those answers. That's what's sponsoring this morning show. Should you want to help out, donate to this lovely show, information is in the description box. On where to find us, what do we have to offer, the slew of classes, sessions, etc., 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 is in the description box. Okay, so let's get it cracking. This morning we are talking about what is a spirit team or spirit guides. I think I said spirit team. So we're going to kind of talk about that. There's a lot of myths. There's a lot of hoopla. There's a lot of people who will make you feel like you got to know, there's a lot of that shit. So every time we touch a kind of a subject, of course, we're going to give you some things we've heard, experiences, and then kind of our own opinions on what a spirit team is, what spirit guides are,
Okay.
how to navigate through it also. Because if you're new to spirituality and you're lost, you can get lost in the information coming to people because everyone wants to tell you what to do, how to do it, and you
Right.
you you go to people, trust them, you trust the information, you're like, okay, this person's telling me to try this, let me try this,
Mhm.
and then you're sitting in meditation and then no spirit guide comes. And then you're like, am I not worthy of the spirit guides? Spirit guide, old spirit
Yeah.
guides,
Where art thou spirit guides?
I don't hear them. So there's a couple things. If I read like a couple different articles, and I don't even remember the names of it. I just kind of skimmed through. Oracle has a book that she's reading on it. There's a couple things that a lot of people list a lot of different things as far as what is on your spirit team. And so there's a slew of things from fairies to mermaids to goddesses to ancestors to past loved ones. I mean, just the list goes on. Angels,
Right.
fucking unicorns. I mean, literally anything. It really goes to you. But if we're going to define it and we're going to talk about it, right? For me, one of the things is, and we'll just go back to like our experience, right? Because we had a similar experience where in the beginning, I was always directed to higher self. Like that was always my directive, higher self. I didn't have the spirit guide talking to me, or the spirit guides kind of talking to me. It was kind of like, yeah, no, do your thing.
Right.
It's like
And
Mary
so
who's
when you talk about higher self, are we talking about that what is it? The intuition, that little Jiminy Cricket that sits on your
so
shoulder kind of thing?
that's the thing. What is the higher self? What does that sound like? What does that look like? Right. So for me, higher self was the voice that came in very clear, but was not playing games. It wasn't the confusion, right, in my head.
Mhm.
It was the like, that needs to be done. Like point blank, period. Nothing else. And it felt, I'd hear it and I felt it in my gut at the same time. I'd hear it and I felt it in my gut. Like, okay, I know I need to do this. Whether I was paying attention or fucking followed the information is a whole
Right.
nother story. But like when
I
we were
always
sitting there, it's like spirit teams, it's like I didn't connect. I didn't hear that.
I didn't either. I like thinking a higher self is that like little Jiminy Cricket, right? That just kind of hangs out with you and tells you no, or tells you yeah.
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
oh, okay.
Like,
So yeah,
no,
for
don't be
me,
an
it's
ass
like
right now.
aligning your higher self with your intuition, but
Right.
being open to being able to receive those messages. Because I think a
Right.
lot of times we all have a higher self, but
Right.
sometimes we are blocking our higher self.
Right. Right.
So that's where that confusion comes in, right? Then it becomes a battle between mind and heart. Because your
Well,
mind,
you're
everyone always
right.
seems to think like, if you go with your mind, that's the right thing. The heart is the emotion, right? But your mind will play a trick on you very easily if you're not
Right.
clear
Right.
who's speaking through
I
that.
was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think being your higher self is being balanced between everything, not saying that
Right.
you have to be like this chakra opened kundalani, ass person, but
Right.
you can't be fucking drunk and think that's your higher self talking to you about getting in
Like
the
real
car and
shit.
going to drive home, okay? Like, let's be honest. So,
That's my thing when it comes to the head over heart. You know me, I'm not a head over heart person. I'm a line both of them because we talk about ego, and that is our persona. That's the one that needs to prove themselves, that needs to explain themselves, that needs to argue, that needs to fight, right? That gets the bruising, that gets offended, that gets jealous, right? Now your ego has a purpose. We'll probably do a show about ego so we could talk about ego a little bit more in depth, but your ego has a purpose. So ego is telling you do this. Like, no, fuck that. Beat that bitch's ass. You know what I
mhm,
mean? That's your ego, right? Your higher self is over here like, okay, and then what? So you beat her ass. Then what? What do you get after that? And the ego is the one, your hype man.
mhm,
Your ego is the hype man for destructive shit because the ego doesn't have that thought process of next life karma and all that other shit attached to it. It's just like we're right now here. We're dealing with this shit right here. All we
ego is
know
like
is
survival.
connect. Right.
It's that
Your
survival
primal
instinct
instinct.
that kicks in
Your
to
primal
defend
instinct.
yourself, to be on the
Right.
lookout of everything, to be, yeah.
And that's what people don't realize when people are talking about ego. When we say ego, people think egotistical. That's all they know. Majority of society only knows egotistical. Well, I'm not egotistical. That's not what we're talking about, right? We all have an ego. We all have that side to us. That is our primal instincts. That is the fear, the survival, the flight, the fight, that, those kind of things come into that ego. Your higher self is over here chilling like, yeah, we don't need to do that. We don't need to say
Mhm.
that. We don't need to prove shit. We are who we are. But because we never most of us are not taught to tap into that side of us, we've been ego our whole life. That's all we know. All we know how to be is in that reaction mode, what I
Yeah.
call reaction mode. We're reacting, right? So when we're looking at higher self, which for me in my experience, higher self was my go-to. That was who I was kind of pushed to go to speak to this higher version of myself that already had the answers, that knew not to do this or not to do that. That fucking instinct was just there. It was very heightened, you know? So my higher self was like, you know what's good and bad. You don't need a fucking
Mhm.
rule book. In your heart space, you know when something's fucked up. You feel it. And I think people get one of the things that I read, and I can't remember where I read it in the one of the beginning of my path was that spirit guides, actual spirit guides come as you need them. So you may never need a spirit guide on your path. Everyone's different. Maybe this lifetime you don't need a spirit guide. Maybe you are that
Mhm.
enlightened. Just go to your higher self. It's not saying enlightened like I'm Buddha in this bitch, you know what I mean? Because we've got the slack of not having spirit guides. So if you guys
Yes.
don't know, we've got slack from other spiritualists. Like if we're all above because we don't have spirit guides.
Mhm.
But I do feel like there are some people who don't need spirit guides, and that's just their path. Spirit guides for me, and everyone believes differently. I do believe they come as you need them. And if you need them, they're there. But what if you don't need them? What if spirit is telling you you're strong enough to figure it out without spirit
Right.
guides?
Right. I think for me, I found that problem with everyone feeling like their path has to be the same, and that my path
Right,
has to be theirs, and that their path is the right one, or feeling like my path is less than because it's not in line with what they believe. And again, we get
right,
back to the label, right? Because everyone needs to label it. So a lot of times what got me, not necessarily the word spirit guide got me, because I believe um, possibly my spirit guides are like my ancestors, who will
right,
come to me and be like, hold on, like, pay
right,
attention, pay
right,
attention.
right,
And I don't feel like spirit guides push. I don't feel like they push you to do anything, say anything, but they're there just to say, hold on, wait a minute, think about this,
right,
look at it. Okay, you got it? You looking? Okay, I'm going back over here. Like, but everyone had this issue with having to name their spirit guides, or I
right.
can tell you who your spirit guides are. And that was a
Oh,
big
you know that
issue
one.
for me on my path. Who you're going to tell me who this random stranger is who decided to be
Right,
my homeboy in the the spiritual realm? Like, okay, and now they
yeah,
need a name, right? But if we've had all these past lives, like we have come to believe,
right,
then you think Kathy was the ancient Egyptian woman from back, like, that just doesn't make sense. But for me, everything kind of has to at least make some kind of sense. It's got to make
right,
sense.
right, right,
Like, you can't just pull it out. So I think my problem was always that people downed us for not
right,
having
right,
that same experiences they did. Not to take away from whatever they had, but like you said, maybe I didn't need it. Maybe that's not what I was drawn to. Maybe you can't just
right,
make me have a fucking, like, a person, a fairy, a spirit, a wolf, a dog, the archangel, this person, the goddess, this person. Like, no, it's who I've become
right,
attracted to, and who I feel like I call into my space, I guess you should say.
right,
Instead of
right,
feeling like these are my people and those are only your people, and
right,
that's your life. Like,
right. That's what I've come to realize is that as we've been on this journey, that it's not just, when we were in that moment of where we came across someone, and we won't say no names, but our group came across someone who was telling people who their spirit guides were. And my gut off the bat was like, yeah, no, you're not doing that. You could say my
mm-hmm.
gut, my higher self, whoever the fuck you want to say, and the spirits in my ear right right now as I'm talking was just like, yeah, no. And it's crazy because my daughter did the experience, and she was like, Mom, I don't feel that it's true. I don't agree with it. And the names that she got for me, I felt were just kind of out of the woodworks. My daughter's a darker skin. If you guys have seen my daughter, she's darker. And I feel like the names that were given her were like Tyrone and fucking,
Well,
there were names that were just tailored
let's
to her, what her, ethnic part that people thought she was, you know what I mean, just looking at her.
Well, let's
And
ask
then when
yourself, just because, okay, so say it is true or it's not true or whatever, we don't know. But what difference did that make to you? I mean, did it, even if you did believe in spirit guides, right? Or even if you believed you had this team, um, what was the point of giving them a name
right,
without giving
right,
them the purpose? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly,
how would it
exactly,
change your life if you did believe in that? Say you believed her 100% that Nancy, Drew, and Craig were your spirit team, right? And but what does it do for you to know their name and not
right.
their purpose?
My daughter got a purpose, like they were here for whatever. It was something like very, for me, it was very basic. Oh, your spirit guide Tyrone is here to guide you. Okay, guide me with what? What are you guiding me with? And like I said, didn't sit well with her. And so a little bit later, remember, I started practicing with the guided meditation to assist people to find your spirit guides, walk you to find them, not me tell you who it is, right? And my daughter was one of the first people. I was like, let me test it out on you. Let me see. Let's try this. And she never met a Tyrone on her journey. But you know who she did meet? People that connected to her because she had already been
Mhm.
connected to Hinduism. In the beginning of our paths, she tethered to Hinduism really quickly with the chakras and everything, you know, and that's who she saw on that path were some monks. Made fucking sense, right? Made
Yeah.
sense that she would have a connection. And I think that even when you look at your own paths, right? And I always say this to everyone when they're asking me, how do you know? It's like, what are you called to? Who's speaking to
Hmm.
you? I talk about this all the time about Kuan Yin, who was one of the first goddesses that spoke to me on this path, where just in a spiritual store, her oracle card deck spoke to me before I was even doing tarot. And I just was called. I had this feeling like I had to get it. I think you got to take yourself back and see what are the signals, not just, okay, I have the spirit team, there's five of them. This person does this and this person does that, but see who's calling to you. Because, like I said, I believe in the fact that people come when you need them. And at the time
Hmm.
when calling came into my life, I was still in the forgiveness stage to self. I was very angry with myself. I was still very angry with myself for all the shit that I did. I still so had so much guilt with my daughter. Kanyin is about compassion, love, especially to self, right? No wonder why she was speaking to me in that point. You know, at the same time, a little bit after that, Yemaya spoke to me, who is a mother energy. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Nurturing, loving. What did I need at that time? Nurture,
Right.
love. So I think sometimes people create the overthinking in all of this to where, well, we know a lot of people want everything given to them. Some people are okay to sit down and you tell me who's my people. You tell me what they're for. You tell me why they're here instead of
Yeah.
doing the work.
I think that's the biggest thing that bothered me because for a moment I felt like I wasn't progressing or that I was missing something
Right,
on the path or the journey. Because then it turned into, yeah, meditate and they'll come to you and blah blah blah. And I'm like, it's not
nope,
happening. It's not happening. And then I feel like it started putting pressure on me to figure it out. And then once I couldn't figure it out, but I could still feel and see my own growth,
right,
that's when I started to question, because that's where, it started to feel more religion like this is what it had to be. And I didn't
yeah,
like that feeling of this is what, if it's good for you, great. If it works
right,
for you, great. But
right,
it doesn't work for me and it doesn't make me
right,
not as
right,
good as you, right?
right,
So,
right,
um, so for me, like that's, it started feeling like that, those religious restrictions on me. And
right,
it made me really want to put a name on something that wasn't coming to me. It was like the pressure of doing that. And I remember doing the meditation with you, and for a long time, it was more of me seeing ancestors. I remember seeing a native woman. I remember seeing water with like the lily pads and the I don't want to say lotus flowers, but the lily pad flowers or whatever they were that were coming up. And then I felt pressure to put a name on this person, and I couldn't get it, and I couldn't get it, and I couldn't get it. And then a name came to me, and it just came out. And then I thought about it, and I'm like, who the fuck is this random fucking? Who the fuck is Nancy? Like, who the fuck is Nancy? Like, I don't even feel comfortable telling Nancy my problems.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Who this? I ain't got no damn Nancy. You know what I mean? But it wasn't. I don't feel like that part was me. I feel like it was me feeling the pressure of
Right.
having to come up with this name or having to come up with this being, this person. And then I had like, what difference does it make if my person has a name that I know,
Right.
that I remember? Are they only going to come to me if I call them by name? Are they going to, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I think too, some of it was where, because people with fear. Now, look, this is the trick, right? Because people with fear have to put labels on everything, right? Because you can't possibly be getting higher knowledge without a name,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can't be getting any higher knowledge by not knowing. And one of the biggest things that I would say is that this path is to teach us to surrender and have faith. So if you're surrendering and having faith, what difference does it matter who's next to you guiding you? Because I say this all the time, you will know the difference between a not so nice spirit and your higher
Mm-hmm.
self or any higher level energies. They will never tell you to do some crazy shit. They're not confusing you. The energy and information is actually so on point, it's scary. It's the other shit that gets you the confusion and all of that stuff. So, one of the things in the beginning, even when with mediumship, when everybody was like, yeah, I have Bob, and Bob goes and gets the spirits and closes the door and opens the door. And I remember sitting in meditation, like, okay, I don't have a Bob, I don't have a Sally. Like, where the fuck is my person that's going to assist me, right? Thinking somehow I'm less than of a
Mm-hmm.
medium than everyone else, right? But then when I got into my own little groove, it's like, okay, I don't need Bob. I can talk to them. They're vibing with me. I don't need someone to put them in line and check them for me. It's just kind of
Right.
like, so we both kind of experienced that, and I know I went through that, the unworthiness, right? Unworthiness and not living up to everybody else's standard. And in the beginning of this, if you don't know, you're going by what other people are telling you, and everybody that you're coming across is telling you about this fucking spirit team. And I remember one of the people at the time was Cynthia. And Cynthia was like, everyone's teams are different. She's like, and that kind of stuck with me. And I'm like, it's got to be because everything I was experiencing at the time, I would hear my voice talking to me like an outer
Mm-hmm.
body experience. And that voice would be like on point to some shit. Whether I talk about the entity that was like fucking with me early in the beginning, my higher self kicked in. In some of the meditations I did, I didn't even understand that I was connecting with angels, and it was just all this crazy stuff because I was waiting for this person or person with a name to show up and say, I'm Sally, let's roll. And even with the angels, because when people would talk about it, they would say, yeah, and I saw them in this, and I'm just like, okay, I don't see them like that. What's going on with me? Like, and so I was downgrading my own connection, even though I had two that really did connect with me profoundly, on so levels. So I feel like we can't take away from our own journeys just because someone else's example of a journey is this very elaborate story. That's their journey. That's their experience. And I remember, I feel like everyone's experience is theirs. And if you got a team or you got
Right.
anything, work with them. Shit, if it works for you, great. But don't down somebody else because they don't have a team or they don't have specific names. Like, I don't know all the names of my ancestors, but shit, you can't tell me I don't feel them. You can't tell me that they don't roll in.
Mm-hmm.
other people have seen them around me, and I'm like, okay, I don't need to know who they are. I don't need to know their names. They're here. I feel it, you
Yeah.
know?
I think too it goes in with like just knowing that everybody's journey isn't going to be the same, right? And that for me ties into um, things like mediumship and tarot and the healing and blah blah blah, because yes, we can all do it, right? We can all tap in, we can all do it, we can all practice, we can all, open ourselves up to that. But are we all meant to be on the same level with it? Are we all meant to be the freaking Long Island medium? Are we all meant to be this, Miss Cleo as tarot reader, fortune teller, or anything like that? I believe, yes, we can all tap into it, but we're all going to kind of have our niche, right? We're all going to have something that, and that's just life in general. Like, what sets us apart from everybody? What
Right,
makes this journey different? And I feel like everybody feels like they should be able to do the same thing, which you can, but I don't
right.
really 100% believe that everyone is supposed to be at the same level when it comes to
No.
those. And I don't believe, like you said, like the angels and stuff, like some people see those profoundly, and some people feel their ancestors profoundly.
Right,
And that doesn't make a difference. It's just that different niche, that different way.
right.
Because if we all had it like that, we wouldn't get to learn, right? So if I know
Mm-mm.
that you are able to channel these ancestors or these angels and see these profound angels, and I'm gonna want to know, how do you do that? Who are they? What are they? I
Right,
like you. I go to my ancestors. That's who I feel drawn to. I don't feel drawn to other things. I know people who go to fairies or have spirit animals and things like that, or they
right,
find feathers. And but I just feel like everyone is kind of made to feel like their journey is somehow less than if you're not on the same journey.
right, right, right. That's one of the things that I teach is perfect your craft, not comparing yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
we know when we get to the higher levels and when you get to that higher knowledge, you are not comparing yourself to anyone.
To
You are
anyone.
just being the best version of you. And once I really figured that out, I stopped trying to be anybody else's medium or anyone else's
Mm-hmm.
version of a medium. You know what I mean? I connect when I connect. If they're here, they're here. If they're not, they're not. I do what I do. And I think if you're new to spirituality, if you're new to your path, I think that you just got to understand to allow yourself to experience and don't get caught up with these labels and the bullshit behind
Mm-hmm.
what people say. And don't feel like, oh, I'm not as gifted as so and so because I don't feel it that way. When we're all very unique, we're all very, our paths will never be the same. Yeah, they're similar, but the experiences are unique to us. There's only one of us in this fucking planet, all right? So we
Mm-hmm.
have to stop trying to compare this connection. So I feel like it should not matter if you have a spirit team or not, really. Trust the guidance. And most of the time in the beginning, you're so doubtful because you don't trust yourself, right?
Yeah.
Got to work on the shit in the beginning. We're so doubtful because we don't trust ourselves. Well, how can you trust anybody around you if you don't even trust yourself and how you feel? So that's a whole nother level, coming into it. But don't get caught up. Your spirit team is comprised of who you need, who's calling to you, who do you connect with, who are you safe with. Maybe it's your grandmother, maybe it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's a little kid fucking running around. Who knows? Um, I just feel like I too, I got caught up in a lot of that, and it just made my path a lot. It was a lot of up and downs. It was a lot of up and
Mm-hmm.
downs, and a lot of feeling disappointed with myself, and feeling like I was failing, and feeling that I wasn't getting to the next level, and I'm
Yeah.
not. And we have people like talk down to us like we're not gifted enough. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
how the fuck do you figure that? I think I'm very gifted. And that whole, you'll have people where we say this all the time. It's like, I don't need cards to read. That's your ego talking.
all the time. And,
That's your
I
ego.
think too. I think I know everybody has intuition. Um, I feel like what what is really like my team, I want to say, is hugely my intuition. I feel like it's
Yeah.
a little more stronger than normal, like intuition, right? There's something that just
Hmm.
I can, I just feel it and I can't explain it. And I know everyone is like, well, I get that too. But mine is huge, 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 huge. And so when we would have these conversations with some people, it was something that would hit me in a way where it was like, not that I ever thought they were wrong, because I don't, I do believe in archangels. I do believe in angels. I do believe in this, that, or the other. But there was
Right.
something that would hit me, and it was just like it wasn't for me this time. It
Right. Right.
wasn't my path this time. Maybe I didn't need them this time. I don't freaking know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. Maybe nobody wanted to hang out with me. Maybe they were up there like, nope, I'm not dealing with her. Nope, I did last time. Like, you get her this time, and then I just got sent here with nobody. And that's fine. But I just had this huge intuition. And I think, too, that I think it's sad that it happened in the beginning of my path,
Right.
because it made me feel very judged and
Yep.
in not a good way. And it made me upset because I didn't want them to feel like I was judging them either. But it was like sometimes on this path, people don't want to understand you. And like
Yep.
you said, that whole I can read without cards, and we all have that, right? The
Right.
cards are just a tool.
Right.
Like it's like you can screw a screw in using a power drill, a
Right.
screwdriver, or a fucking butter knife. It's
Like
all
real
gonna
shit.
do the same job, right? You know what I mean? Like you're gonna get it done. And so
Right.
it's like that guide. It's like, yeah, you get that intuition, but when you pull that card, when you pull that, number one, I have a visual for my other person to see, right? If
Hmm.
you don't know what the fuck tarot is, and I'm just over here spewing shit, and you don't have anything to actually like, where's she getting that from, you know? And then
Right.
two, it helps me clarify what the fuck I'm thinking.
Right.
It helps
Right.
me clarify what the fuck I'm thinking, or what I'm hearing, or what I'm seeing, or what I'm feeling. And so people are like, I can do this and I can do that. And it's like, I feel like people always need to be
That's the
better than.
competition. That's the ego. That's the ego that comes in. That's the all the ego, because your higher self don't do all that shit. One of the things is that for me in my path is the knowing. That's my strongest. It's the knowing, pure
Mm-hmm.
knowing. No, it is what it is. And a lot of people, that's what is. Well, how do you know? I don't fucking know. I just know.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing tied to it. I can't tell you that Archangel so and so just told me that. I just know that it is what it is. But when you're doing in this, some people do need some type of proof. Some people do need some type of,
For
like,
Because I know
you
you're
know,
like me and you need proof. So on your path, when you would get that, did it make you feel some kind of way? Because I know for me, like to hear that people could see them, or they could
right, right,
hear them, or they would come to them in their dream, or they would come to them in their meditation. And I
right,
didn't get that. And all I got was, I know what the fuck I know, and that's what I know.
right.
I was like, God damn, I want to see a fucking angel. I want to see I want to see something.
And that's the ego bruise, okay? That's the ego that's like, well, what about me? Why can't you come to me? Why can't you come and
Mm-hmm.
visit me?
I want to
So
see.
yeah, it made me feel less than. Like, why am I not talking to them like that? And I'm like, why are not we haven't come? But remember, that July I went to the beach, and Archangel
Yeah.
Michael, he came me, and I was like blown away with that shit. Was just like, what the fuck? But it's not like no one else after that. It was like you get this one moment with me, and
Right.
it's for some fucking reason, right? And then that was it. That was it. And it's the craziest shit. You don't know when it's gonna come. You don't know how it's gonna come. Shit just happens. But
Happens.
no, it used to make me feel like shit sometimes. Like, damn, where the fuck are my people? Like, why can't I hear them talking to me? I hear myself. Like, I don't want to talk to me. I want to talk to someone else. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just like that. Like, no, I want proof. And then spirit would be like, you fucking don't need proof. You already know. And it would be client after client that would confirm it. Like, you remember what you said? Yes, it came true. Or this, that, and the third. And it's like, you would say shit. And it's like, how do you know that? That's just what I'm hearing. That's why I fucking hear it. I see it. I fucking hear it. I just know. I don't know how fucking. It's not even in the cards. The cards
Mm-hmm.
are not even the fucking cards. But I still would want that proof. I would want it that
Yeah, that
fucking.
to see,
It,
to hear.
everyone's like, I see
Like,
spirit
I
like
think
this.
I've always gotten jealous with mediums who feel like they can see, or not feel like, who
Yeah,
can
they're like,
see
you got
the
a little
actual
boy next to
person.
you, and he's like blonde hair and this and that, and it's like I see
Yeah.
people do that. I'm like, all I see is these dark black shadows. What the fuck? Why did I get that
Uh-huh.
gift?
All I get is like random words that pop in my head, and I'm confused as shit. And then there's always like that one where I'll see a random medium, and they're like, was he tall and big hair, blue eyes? He's got blonde. And I'm like,
And and I don't get
honestly,
that all the time. And it's crazy because when someone taps in, I don't get it all the time. All the time do I not see what they look like. Sometimes they come through and I can see the hair, the face, the glasses, the
hmm
clothes and shit. But not every time. Not every time. It's just like, wait. So yeah, it used to have me feeling a certain way in the beginning, like I was less than. And that goes into your self-worth, the shit that you're working through at the same time. It's part of the lessons. Like we were supposed to go through that because that's what we were already struggling with. We were already struggling with our self worth. Come into the spirituality. Who do we have all around us? A bunch of people who test that shit, right? A bunch of people who judge us. One of the other things that I remember coming was the people who try to belittle you in your gifts. So it's kind of the opposite,
hmm
where I remember a couple people because of their belief systems, it was like, well, you're not the one that's gifted, it's your spirit that works through you. And it's just like,
yeah, that was the big one for me.
so you're telling me that I do all this work, but I can't get no credit.
I think that's it too. And then another thing for me was like, so you're telling me like I got stuck with the shitty team? Like, was I like the last one to be paired up at kickball, or what the fuck was going on there? Like,
Right,
because
right,
everyone would be like, well, this happens or that happens to them, and it's like, no, I mean,
right,
I just I couldn't vibe with that. I couldn't vibe with knowing my gifts were not my own. They were my team's gifts, and
right,
I was to use them as they allowed me to, I guess, or gave me the
right,
okay to,
right.
in a way.
Because
I
some
think,
of it,
they were my connection. I get them being my connection between this realm and that realm. But yeah, I was like, I just can't see them.
right,
So they're using
like,
me, right? Is that what
right.
it is? Like they're
Like,
using me?
I'm just this human. So in the
Right.
beginning of the path, I kind of separate, and I would just I do my smile and nod, and I thank you for the information. I just don't
Mhm.
believe that. I don't believe that as gifted as I am, it's not a part of me. Like it's not me. And I think when a lot of people say that they see so and so next to me, and that's who does that, the thing about past lives, because I believe so strongly in past lives, I do believe those spirits that are here with us are our past lives. Those
Mhm.
are people we were. That's why they're still connected with us. Now, that's what I believe. I'm not
So
saying everybody has to
that would make
train and
sense given that when, what did I say about this book said, that spirit guides were assigned to you because they're experts on what your soul has come here to achieve and learn. They
Right.
were
Why
once
would they be an
human,
expert?
and they learned to raise their consciousness and master the soul lessons they needed to fulfill. So
Right.
basically, they're saying spirit guides are yours because they've already conquered
Right.
those same lessons, and they're here
Right.
to, you know.
And it made sense. All the knowledge that look at all the stuff that we've learned. You know why some of this start to hit me in that way about spirit guides is because not to mention, okay, I talk about the past life regressions that I've been through, right? And I've seen and I've been through some meditative states that have took me to a past life. I've seen kind
Mhm.
of those. Um, but the other part was when you're kind of lost my train of
And this
thought
one
here.
too explains them as you can have more than one, and they may appear in different times of your life and stages. They can be animals or loved ones who have possibly crossed over.
Right. So the past life theory, and this of course is my a past life theory of
Yeah.
your spirit guides. For me, I do feel like those pieces and parts of us, like um, let's say you're really good at singing. You know what I mean? Like okay,
Mhm.
let's just take the magician card. When I was really doing studying the tarot, the magician card,
Mhm.
which is part of it talks about all of these things that you have learned in multiple lives. And now you're a jack of all trades. The people who are magicians are people who bring all these traits, but you get bored really easily because you've already mastered this shit. You're bringing it from another life. So for me, those spirit guides for me are attached to you in that way. But a lot of
Mhm.
people don't see that because it's like, well, no, the African man sitting next to you, how could that be you? Well, we're not the same people in these lives. Not to my belief system, anyway. I don't believe we're the same people. I've seen where I've been multiple different races, crazy different races, which we talked about the DNA chain when we talked about my
Mhm.
DNA profile and how my DNA profile has matched my fucking meditative state of, fucking past life shit. It
Mhm.
is fucking matched to the T almost, which is crazy. So there goes that physical kind of proof attaching more of
Mhm.
all you. Like you could call it what you want to, but it is attached to you for a reason. These people that, besides your family and your ancestors, but even your ancestors are a part of you, right?
Mhm.
Even your ancestors are that line linked within you. So I feel like we get too caught in the fucking names. And then we have people who try to bring us lower than what we are when I do believe we're very strong divine beings. That if we understood that, we could heal ourselves, that we could conquer a lot more if we understood how fucking profound we were in our energy, how strong our spirit was, if we could just learn how to tap into that, we'd see all these labels of spirit guides and shit, we could bypass that. You'd understand that it doesn't matter where it comes from. The
Mhm.
knowledge is there. You just got to tap into it. Because a lot of people, same thing, get tripped up of I can't. Why don't I don't hear a name? I didn't see nobody. And I'll go. What did you feel? In this moment, what did you
Mhm.
feel? Well, I felt this. Okay, go with that. That's your thing. And if you overthink it, you'll always be like, okay, where's my Sally? I don't have a Sally. Where's
Right.
Archangel? You know, I don't see them.
Nobody loves me.
I'm not gifted, I guess.
Right. Right.
Guess I'm not
Um,
fucking gifted.
do you do you find a difference between angels in general and like archangels? Because I've heard, no, I've never really dealt with archangels. I don't think ever. Yeah, I don't think I've ever. But I've heard that the angels only come if you call. And do you like people speak of guardian angels, right? Do you feel like the
Right,
guardian
right.
angels are the same as your archangels, or do you feel like there's like different versions of those as well?
I do feel like there's different versions because, like and it does it comes from your belief system and your background because, my mom and them from a Catholic background, they believe highly in the guardian angels and in this. I was never religious. So me, I never, I thought angels were tied to religion. I always say this, I thought they were
Hmm.
tied to religion that
Yeah.
way. So I didn't even think I could call on any to come help my ass because, I'm not religious, right? So one of the things in my path of where I connected with, honestly, I didn't even know Archangel Metatron was even fucking connecting with me. I didn't even know. I didn't get the cues, didn't pay attention. Well, one, I didn't know enough about him to understand the cues. I
Hmm.
didn't know the whole energy pyramid Merkaba fucking shit. I didn't know all that, right? And then he kind of led me to Deanna, which Deanna has a whole energy healing with him, right? Didn't even
Hmm.
process. And then when I did the healing session with her, I was blown away at what I was shown in that session, that I even had known her in a past life. But so when I when I started to connect, especially like with Archangel Michael, it wasn't because of me calling him though. It was he was connected with my twin. He actually was connected with my twin. My twin, comes has this background of like religion and stuff like that. So he was connected with him. And it was just like, all right, so how do I connect with this archangel? You know what I mean? Like I was kind of like, okay, so
Hmm.
what the fuck do I do? And I remember the girl at the time that was showing me, because in the beginning of my magic in spell work and everything, she was kind of teaching me a couple things. She was kind of showing me a couple things. She told me to light a candle. She's like, light this candle, then do this and buy this. She's the one who told me to make the coffee for him and stuff like that. And I just remember like, okay, well, okay, we're gonna try it. We're gonna
Hmm.
see what happens. But no, I never was like, okay, I would hear everybody talk about it. I would hear all people, I work with this archangel and I channel this one. And it's like interesting, cool. But no, mine, I was getting these, I can't even remember what was happening at the time. There was something that I was seeing and I can't remember, but the girl, because she worked with Archangel Michael, she was like, those are like signs from him. And I was like, really? Like, really? One of
Hmm.
those things like, okay, let's go with that. But I don't know. I don't know if I believe that you got to call on them. I really do feel like they come when you need them. you know Archangel Michael is not only just for protection and all of that stuff, even in the beginning, where I was being hit with a lot of crazy dark energy and shit, but he's also connected to twin flame shit with Faith is the female counterpart of Archangel Michael, which I never really understood all of that in the beginning. I didn't understand what was going on, didn't understand, okay, why is this energy connecting with me? And then if you deal with someone who doesn't have the answers, right?
Hmm.
Because the person I knew, they didn't know about that twin flame shit. They didn't know about that stuff. They didn't have any of that. It was just kind of like that, he's coming to work with you. And it's like, okay, well, work with me for what though? Like what are we gonna do? I don't fucking know. Like,
Right.
okay, like, so I just took it as whatever was going on at the time of protection, and then I kind of started calling on him for protection needs. But I don't know if I'm not going to say I don't believe in guardian angels because I think, of course, if you believe in it, you believe in it. I do think you can call on any energy if you want to try to work with them. But even like we've done in the Moon Goddess Club, and not every energy have we connected with.
Hmm.
With some of them, it's just like, yeah, there's no connection there. I don't feel it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
my ancestors, that energy, I trust that energy very strongly. They come through very, very profound, and I feel the protection. I feel the love. I feel that, wanting to see me do right by our line and our
Yeah.
family is.
I think too, it's easier because those ancestors have been physical beings, right? And we can tie something physical to these
Right.
these people. Um, when it comes to the angels, it's a little bit harder because when you're young, you're taught that this angel is this white being that just has this beautiful
Right.
flowing thing with these huge ass
Right.
wings, and it's like,
You're
okay,
like,
like
huh?
or you've been taught that they only come when something horrible happens, like when you're about to
Right.
die or something. And it's like this wonderful angel came and greeted me to take me on to
Right.
the next place. So I do, for me being such a physical person, or having to have some kind of explanation, I do feel like ancestors are huge for me. Um, but the presence
Right.
that I can feel
Well,
with
that's
them.
the other thing. In the beginning, well, even now, there was like, remember when people would be talking about, oh, I got shivers, or I got, when the angels come in, I feel this. And it was like, I don't feel any of that. Like nothing shifts. Like
Hmm.
the only thing that I feel really deeply far as energetically is the ancestors when they come in. That energy warms me up. But when it comes to angels or anybody else, that it doesn't shift for me.
Yeah,
There's no
and
big.
that's
So when people used to say it, it would confuse me. Like, oh, I guess no angels around me.
right. And I've never, like I said, I've never had that thing with them. I have heard that when I was really young and I did get really, really sick, that I had said something about them. But I do know my older daughter and my son, who are what, 11 months apart, 11 months in a week or something weird like that. Um,
Mm,
they had both gotten really, really sick. Uh, really big fever, and my grandma had put them both in the bathtub. I wasn't there. They stayed the night at her house this weekend or something weird like that. And my daughter told her to look, grandma, and she was like, look at what? She was like, look at the angel behind you. And my grandma's like, she turned around or whatever. But um, she had told my grandma that the angel said it was going to be okay. And she said, and then she was like, she's leaving, grandma, tell her goodbye. And so, so that was really big for her. And my son, who was like me, he used to have the really shitty dreams and the sleep paralysis kind of thing. Am I frozen? You froze on me. Did I freeze on you? Oh shit. Did I freeze on you?
well, on my side, it's kind of did some weird shit with.
Okay, because my side you were like frozen. I'm like, am I froze or she froze or who's froze? But
I think we're both.
he used to get what he would get scared. He called them the black angels that would come to
Mm,
him at nighttime or give him the sleep paralysis and stuff like that. Um,
right.
and then there was one other time where my other son had said that after my son died and he went through his anger and frustration, that he said he walked in the bathroom and turned on the light and there was a white being just there. He said it didn't look like anything, it was just a big white light and it slowly just faded away. And he said he felt very comforted, not that he got
Right.
chilled or anything. So I do believe they come, and I think too, I don't think angels are ones that just like hang out with us daily, that are just like here chilling and just waiting to stop the bullet or waiting to stop the car or, something like that. I
Right.
do think, that they possibly come when you need that time of comfort or you need that, like, how they talk about like miracles happen, like somebody was super sick and then they had this big huge miracle. It's like I think they all have their
Right.
different abilities. I don't want to call them powers, but I think, like ancestors have the ability to do a lot of protective work and make sure that things in this physical world aren't coming at you like nasty vibes and energies and spell works and
Right. Right. Right.
toxic shit, because they've been here. So it's easier for them to do things on this physical plane. As I think angels possibly, maybe, I don't know. They say they've never been here. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But I think the angels are like that comfort, that miracle
Right.
that happens, that But I don't think they just like freaking hang out with you all day long.
Do you believe in earth angels?
I don't. I don't. Only because psychic Sylvia Brown had me sold on. You remember when she used to go on Montel? Like back in the day, she'd be on there like weekly, right?
Shit.
And I remember one day I was like, I was so floored by it because she was like, there's aliens in the audience, right? And so then the audience all started like looking at each other like,
It's
am
a
I
fucking
sitting next to a
alien.
fucking alien and shit? And
Right.
so I still think about that to this day. I do believe that they can come in a form. I do believe they can change their
Right.
form. Do I
Right.
think that they're just human beings that are walking around?
Or
Maybe.
like angel with a human and boom, you got an
Yeah,
earth.
yeah.
Fucking know. I've heard a lot of different stories. It'd be cool to like, have someone, who has that type of information or experience to come and say that they've went through this or that they are. That'd be
Hmm.
pretty to
Yeah, psychic
hear.
Sylvia Brown fucked me up when she started. Because then I started thinking like my neighbor was an alien, and then my other neighbor was an angel, but he was over there beating his wife and having all these kids, and then they divorced. And I'm like, they can't be a fucking angel, and that man can't be an alien. Like he sleeps all fucking day and drinks beer. Like,
You know, one of the things early in the path, remember I talked about when I was in my past life regression in the part of where my facilitator asked my higher self about my ancestors because I wanted to understand them. I knew I
Mhm.
was mixed. I knew I had a lot of, this was before my DNA test, but I knew I wanted to get to know my ancestors because remember, I needed a name. I needed a
Mhm.
name. I needed a culture. I needed to know, right?
Right. You need to be able to look them up in some records
I
or
needed
something.
to research, right? And my higher self was like, which ones? For me, it was irritating at the time, like when I was listening to the recording, and I was like, really? Like, that's your fucking go to higher self? And my higher self was
Mhm.
like, no, which ones? And even the facilitator was like, but can you give her a name? And my higher self is like, pick
Like,
one, pick any, there's many. And my higher self said it, like, there's many. And I
that's
was like, my
funny
fucking
because
higher
I
self,
think I don't know if you still have the recording or not, but I
I
think
do.
that's what I said when I did my meditation with you. I think it
Hmm.
came out where you were like, ask her name or something, and I was like, she has many. She
Right,
doesn't have
right,
one.
right. Right. And it was interesting, even though I didn't understand it at the time, because I was still bent at that time, I was still bent on getting a name and a culture and where then
What was your previous address? Like,
but as we went by, that made sense to me
sense.
because we've
Hmm.
had so many fucking lives. Well, not everyone, because I do feel like there's new spirits, but because myself and my path, I've had so many past lives, I have many ancestors from several different fucking lives. So it's like pick whichever ones you want. Pick all of them if you fucking want. You have a slew of them around you.
So I like
You
this
know?
book's definition of earth angels. And if this is an earth angel, I can go for this. Like I would probably lean towards this. But it says your spirit team doesn't just operate on a divine level, it operates on a human level as well. Sometimes you encounter people who seem to deliver messages to you, help you out of a situation, or guide you through your own spiritual journey. These people are earth angels and appear in human or animal form in your physical reality. Earth angels often have a very strong presence and can naturally be healing or inspiring. Earth angels can also present themselves to you when you most need them, and sometimes they stay in your life for a while, and other times they leave as quick as they came. So, if that's
Mhm.
like, if we're talking about
Right,
another physical
right,
human
right, right,
who
right.
kind of is in your path, meant for a reason, meant for,
It
I
has
can
that.
go,
I say that because not only have I been told, so I've been told that supposedly I am one, which I've never really taken
I would
stock
believe
to
that.
it because there's a lot of shit I just don't believe, or not that I don't believe it. It's just when you're on your healing path and you don't have that kind of love for self, you would never take that and be able to
Right.
swallow that, right? Because there was a time where I couldn't even take compliments. If you gave me a compliment, I'd be like, no, what?
You
What
know.
compliment? I'm not fantastic. No, I'm not. No. So to wrap your head around someone like kind of giving you that information is kind of hard. But in that aspect, I've met a couple people that you can tell they have that energy. They have that angelic, healing, soothing energy that you just know that they're not from here. They have this some essence off of them. It's just,
Hmm.
even when I was working with different people and I was trying to study people's energy. And remember Cherie, who had this whole kind of thing. Something about her was totally different. And I told her that, like, you're not like the rest of the healers. Something's different about you. You're not like the rest of it. Her
Hmm.
energy. I was just like, your energy's not shifting like everyone else with me. And I was like, so you're not in a bad way. It was a good way,
Right.
but it was like your energy is different. So I think some
Just
people are
yeah.
those.
I think it is. It's like that person that you randomly are drawn to at the bus stop, or that you meet at the cafe and you spark up conversation, or even like I know recently I told you I had recently went with the kids to cheesecake, and that man had bought our food. But I remember a long time ago, I just had the two kids, and I was waiting for my dad to come out of the bar. He had called me and asked me to pick him up. And at this time, I always felt like I had to, do these things for my dad. So when I got
Right.
there, he was drunk and he wasn't ready. And you cannot talk a drunk man out of coming out of the bar. I got two little kids in the car. We can't come in and fight with you. But there was a pizza shop next door. And I literally had like $26, right? So I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get something to drink and what kind of pizza we're going to get so I can
Right.
maintain my little $26. And it was just like I went to go pay, and the lady was like, the man behind you said you reminded him of his granddaughter and he paid for your food. And I was just
Oh,
like, just little things like that. I think just
right.
be
Right.
like, do you know how much stress that took off of me? And then, like, just knowing I was in this shitty situation waiting for my drunk ass dad to come out of the fucking bar. And I'm out with my kids at 10, 11 o'clock at night waiting for this drunk man to come out. It was just, but
Right.
it was like that relief of, like, just, oh, and I reminded him of his granddaughter. So I was like, that is so sweet.
Oh, it is these moments, and I think there are these earth angels, and whether I haven't wrapped my head around, like, for me, far as claiming any of that, but I do believe there are people who have that, and I have been told, of course, that my energy is soothing, just in life in general, and being that person or whatever. But I do feel like there are, and I feel like we just have to, as people, don't label it. Don't feel like you got to start labeling it. You guys who are in your paths newly,
Mhm.
don't compare yourself. The worst thing you could do is compare yourself. Learn. One of the biggest things that I can say with myself and Oracle is that we just decided we're not going to fit into the popular kids. We're going to go learn. We're going to go seek knowledge and fill ourselves up with whatever knowledge that we could at the time, and that's what we've done. We have filled ourselves up with knowledge from everything that we can think of on this path, and just study and get it. So I would say, don't get too, if you're not hearing spirit guides, don't get too crazy. If you are hearing spirit guides, great, you're hearing them. Don't get too caught in the specifics of the backgrounds, where they're from. I would just allow them to speak to you profoundly, and listen to the minor details, the minor things that you're overlooking, the feather, the
Mhm.
pyramid that you like, the particular rose that you're smelling, the particular perfume or whatever is coming towards you. Allow yourself to just kind of be amazed at how spirit is speaking to you. Be amazed at the knowing that you have, and don't get frustrated that you don't got Sally over here telling you some shit. Like, just allow yourself to kind of flow and